We thank everybody for being here for our Kwanzaa presentation, an opportunity for us all to be able to understand and be part of something we're finding to be very important in our lives. So we just thank thee. We'd like to thank the Creator for putting it in the hearts of Mom to be able to call everybody and request that everybody become part. So we'd like to thank everyone, if this is your first time or this is the one that you've been at for the last 2 days. So today, we want to just talk a little bit about Kwanzaa, those who are not familiar with it. Habari Gani is the greeting. That means, what is the news in Swahili? The news during Kwanzaa is the principle for each day. Of all the holidays observed in December, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa is probably the least understood. We call them 7 words of power. There is power in words. Words are very powerful. The words used for the 7 Kwanzaa principles are designed to empower, and we hope that as we go through this, that we'll be talking about the empowerment each day. Embolden, to embolden us in who we are and what our purpose here on planet Earth is, and re-engage the Black community specifically, and can do the same for all communities. When we talk about Kwanzaa, it was created back in 1966. That's a long time ago. Matter of fact, I was 10 years old. By Corey Karamda, I believe that's how you pronounce it, a professor at California State University. The name Kwanzaa means first fruit. And it's very interesting that when we talk about first fruits, the Bible talks about that we are the first fruits, and the resurrection will have their first fruits. And it's talking about fruit that's usually put on their altar, they call it. We've covered already Umoja, which is unity, on day 1, which means to strive for a principled and harmonious togetherness in the family, community, nation, and world African community. It is fundamental to all of the other principles. Stand on it. Its theme stems from it. Several years ago, a student from Liberia was in a class. He was very ashamed of his heritage and culture, so much that he did not call himself by his African name. On day number 2, we looked at Chuka Kakaria. The Mom presented that particular one with self-determination, to define yourself, name yourself, create for yourself, and speak for yourself. This requires knowing who we are, and requires believing who we are. Not just knowing who we are, but we have to believe who we are once we know who we are. This requires us to refuse to let others define us. Today we are looking at Nigeri Ayanfe Nigeri Emmanuel. She will be presenting today, the 3rd day. And we will let her unmute yourself, Ayanfe, so you can begin.
Hi, I guess Habari Gani would be the greeting for today. So I'm actually going to be talking to you guys. My word is Ujima, or Ujima, at least that's how I remember it being pronounced, I guess, when I was younger. And it's representative of collective work and responsibility. And so I found it was kind of interesting because collective work kind of is like people working together for a common goal, and in that common goal, everybody has certain responsibilities, for certain things. So I am actually gonna be referring back to some of my notes on my phone. So I hope that doesn't make it so you can't see me, but if nothing else, you should definitely be able to also hear me while I pull up this little portion of it real quick. So, all right, so collective work and responsibility. I'm gonna go through the bullet points a little bit. One, to build and maintain your community together, to solve our problems together. So to build and to maintain our community together, one example of that to me was kind of like Black Wall Street, so like kind of back in the day we had it. So, there's a group of people all coming together working toward a goal, and it ended up being so successful and so powerful that people really literally did destroy it, not try to, like literally did. But it was awesome that actually even during a tough time, it was like 1920, 21, before a lot of things were even sorted out, where people had just recently become free, that they were able to do that, and just kind of how coming together was created something so big, for our people as a unit, because we weren't necessarily allowed to mingle with other people. So it was literally just us, what we were bringing to the table. So to build and maintain a community, that's kind of what I'll share about that bullet point. And the next point was like to solve our problems together. And a great example for me, like in recent times with this, was with George Floyd and the protesting. Like, I think everybody saw across the board that what happened was just wrong, like, wrong and just on every level. But for once, I feel like it wasn't us just fighting for our own cause, so it actually became collective work and responsibility across the board for everyone who went out there, and stood up. And even though, there's a lot of stuff that happened during that time, but it sent a powerful message of that we can come together, all of us can come together. And when we do, we can get some stuff done, and so collective work and responsibility, I definitely feel, reflects back to that, in that people literally had to come together. If one or two people had showed up, it would never have worked. If only us had showed up, it would not have looked the same, but just a multitude of people coming together to build something, to collectively work together towards a goal, and having the responsibility of, being there was, I felt, very powerful. So, and I guess that kind of feeds into the next point, which is, this is a commitment to look beyond ourselves and see the needs of others. So I think it was honestly an opportunity for us to look beyond our own selves, for me to look beyond my own self, and maybe different stereotypes I've had about maybe, people who look like me and people who don't look like me, and just seeing everybody kind of come together. And I think also from a lot of other people's perspective too, people of different races, they're able to say, oh, wow, this is happening and that's not right. And being able to see outside of just themselves, and giving us an opportunity to see, okay, people can see outside of themselves. And whether, changes their situations, or not, still also stand up in that regard, and then the next point I'll share, join together to solve problems facing our community. I feel like, for another example, I guess would be in terms of for voting. One thing when I was kind of observing everything that was kind of going on, you saw a lot of different people coming at it from, a lot of different ways. I remember thinking to myself, I was like, oh, wow, if we can get together and get people's attention with, protests or just making our voices known, then if these same people show up, they can also change everything in terms of elections outcomes. I'm not trying to be political. This is just things that I see that are also happening with us as a group of people in general. When we come together, different kind of stuff that can happen and be accomplished. So I think the collective work and responsibility in that regards, when everybody showed up, we literally made a statement. And so across the board, I think, for everybody, we'll get opportunities to kind of make a difference in ourselves and our lives, and even that was like on a bigger scale. But even, personally, working together to see what can we do together as a unit, what can we do together as a group, what can we do together as a family, what can we do to empower ourselves and each other, So that's kind of what I got from the collective work and responsibility of Ujima. And I would like to open it up to whoever, would have any comments or has something that they would like to add or share their thoughts.
All right, I guess well said, Najee. Well said on all your points. Just breaking down the different bullets and so forth. When I saw Ujima, I thought of Morgan State actually. So when I went to Morgan State, I graduated in 2011, but I came there in 2006. So 5 years, it's pretty normal for engineer. Unfortunately, you're stuck there for next year, unless you can take, 20 credits a semester, which I wasn't planning to do. But when I got there in 2006, we had a president, Dr. Earl Richardson. And when I got there, it was let's just say a stereotypical type of HBU experience where you are in financial aid, taking 10 million years to get the things accomplished. You're on full scholarship. They still drop your schedule, and you're in financial aid trying to get all these things figured out. It was pretty much a headache. And then of course, when you get to the school, you don't know, you plan, you applied, you did all these things. They might not have a room for you. So I got sent up to Morgan View as a freshman, because they didn't have any freshman dorms for me, which was actually a blessing in disguise because I wasn't stuck in a room or anything. So the overall experience at Morgan, especially when Dr. Earl Richardson was the president, was pretty much chaotic and pretty much a mess. And it was honestly even mentioned because the library, they updated and built a library at Morgan, and at the library they named it, this guy's name, and of course he was there to celebrate, and the students booed. That's how much of a mess it was at that school. They booed him at his own little inauguration of his library named after him because everyone was so disappointed. In my final year, we had a new president that came on board, Dr. David Wilson, who was still the president there. And he said, hey, we're going to make changes. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. You could see that he did his research and reached out to the community, to the people, to everyone to see what kind of changes could be made to make Morgan State a better experience. Because a lot of people that I graduated with, they're like, I'm not giving Morgan a dime of my money. I was like, I hated the experience. I didn't like what they were doing. I didn't enjoy what was going on, and it was just a very terrible experience for me. And when he came on board, which was my final year, he was still, of course, getting in the system, and trying to figure out this and figure out that. But you could already kind of see like small changes being made here and there. So you could call financial aid, and instead of waiting for 30 minutes, to get your answer called, people would respond right away. People would be, trying to get you through to your classes and trying to figure out your situation rather than keeping you in hold and standing in a line for 4 hours just for them to tell you, hey, like, yeah, your schedule's been dropped. Congratulations. It's like, yes, I know that. Now let's get it back. And so you could see that he was getting rid of a lot of the corruption, a lot of the people at the top who were, kind of like controlling this thing and, sucking in money for the last 30, 40 years that were above him, to the point where those individuals were like, hey, we're getting rid of this guy. Like, this guy, he's changing everything up. He's doing all these things we don't like. And they were honestly like, I don't recall the amount of years, you have until each year you have to sign for renewal, but he was signed for, let's just say 5 years. And after like the second year, they were already like, hey, you guys, and telling, everyone, he's gone. Next year, he's gone. We're getting a new president and we're going to start things new. And of course, I wasn't there at the time I had graduated, but the students, they really stood up and protested to keep him on board, to the point where those people at the top had to stand back and say, hey, we can't really kick him out now. We have to keep him here because of the, the outpour of support for this guy who had made so many changes over his time and had seen so many things. And he didn't care about ruffling people's feathers at the top or whatever. He just felt like Morgan State had some issues that need to be taken care of. to the point now where, of course, as I said, he's still the new president and he's making updated changes. He's changed what was that place called? I can't think of it. But like there was this center, this area right down the street that hadn't been updated. What was the place called? I can't think of it right now. But it hadn't been updated since like the 1950s. So it was ridden with crime, all this kind of stuff. The whole mall area was just devastated. And basically he had updated it. And of course, he got some pushback from the community because they were like, oh, this is what I saw when I was 5 years old. I just wanted to stay the same. And it's like, this place doesn't look the same anymore. You know, it's been 50, 60 years since we've updated this place. Not only that, but he also changed so many different locations, so many different buildings, made so many different progressional things for Morgan State, to the point where every time I go there, I'm like, what is this building? What is that? You know, everything looks so different. You just kind of want to walk around in the buildings that are new and just kind of see how beautiful it looks now, like how much nicer it looks. And with the bridge, I remember they had this huge bridge that they made so that people crossing across the street could walk across a bridge instead of, you know, jaywalking through traffic where people are going 50, 60 miles an hour in a 45 or in a 30, you know? And so they had this bridge that could take you from one side of the campus to the other. What was that place? I think it was Underwood Plaza or something. I can't recall the exact plaza, but so many changes, so many things that he did for that area, and so many things that he's continuing to do. And that was just an experience or a situation that I feel like our president, he really took control of the situation, realized, hey, what kind of issues need to be solved? Why are people so turned off by Morgan State? And what can I do as the president, regardless of whose feathers I ruffle or regardless of what I do in the situation, to do the right thing for the people, for the community, you know? So I'm definitely proud of him. I wish I was in school and he was, you know, a little bit longer. Of course, I shook his hand when I graduated, but again, it was only his first year there. So he was just kind of like, you know, being quiet and not trying to make too much of a ruffle at the time. But definitely thankful that Dr. David Wilson has and is continuing to make changes at Morgan State to keep so many other people happy, and probably looking at Morgan State as, hey, I had a great experience there. I'm gonna give back. I'm gonna, you know, come out and do what I can for my HBCU. That's everything.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. That was definitely some good stuff. It definitely shows, you know, how he was definitely responsible and stepped up, and so many things were changed, and the people who supported him to keep him there. That's what's up. Thank you. Would anybody else like to share anything?
That is what's up. Well, I happen to know that Jabari continues to be a big supporter of his HBCU. And evidently it was because of the influence of this president. It wouldn't have happened had it not been for the influence of this president, who I'm sure lived a very probably wasn't a whole lot of support for him. You know, the makers and the shakers oftentimes are loners. You know, they don't get a lot of support oftentimes, because to make and to shake is a hard call. So that's great that he made that sort of an impact on you. And may we all, you know, live a life of influence and impact.
Indeed. Anybody else want to say anything?
My mom just got on, so she might want to say something.
Hey, Nana.
Community. I'm going to try to unmute her.
I don't mind hopping in again then in for a second. Faye, I thought you brought out some really great points, you know, elaborated. on these great points. And I think what that shows me, this first bullet, to build and maintain our community, to solve our problems together, you made the point that it wasn't just African American, it wasn't just a brown skinned revolt, people got involved, and that's what made the difference. Had it been just a small group, although we know that small can be powerful, and oftentimes great things, are the result of a small cluster coming together first and creating this thing, but it was a bigger thing that made the difference and brought light, to these things of concern for the community. And so that just encourages me. Scripture says that in the end, good will beat out evil. Righteousness will stand. It's not going to be, it's going to come with war and bloodshed, and some terrible things lie ahead of freedom, but righteousness will stand. And so I think all of what you said, kind of points to that as well for me. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Okay, there's, I think I'm unmuted. Yeah, I'm unmuted. When we talk specifically about commitment, that seems to be a issue that we have, is being able to commit to something for a long time or a long period of time, and that takes a lot. Takes a lot for us to be committed, and the more that we're committed to a particular cause, the results we should be able to see and expect to change. And I think specifically about when, like one in particular is diet. A lot of people know diet is important, but we don't wind up holding to it. And that takes a large commitment to be able to actually hang in there and be able to deny ourselves. And a lot of this has to deal with denial, denying ourselves of our food, denying of ourselves of, and preparing. Do we have to prepare food, or is food going to be already given to us, or can we go out and buy it? And so they made it very convenient that we have these food deserts, that we have these fast foods in our community, such that we wind up, not being able to fully get good health. And so now that we have this epidemic that's going through the whole world, which is fine, as it goes through the whole world, it's attacking us most. And that's because we wasn't committed to building our immune system up. So as we go through this time frame, I hope it helps us all realize of why health is important and how diet plays a major role. Okay, Mom, I think you're unmuted.
Thanks for sharing.
Okay, yeah, she's unmuted, Trey.
Yeah, she can't hear you though. That's what she was. I was trying to turn the volume up.
Right, gotcha.
You real low.
Okay, Mom, if there's anything you want to say, you can say. We can hear you on your end. That's what's on.
Yes, if you want to say something.
Right, especially what's on
No,
today.
no, I'm all right.
Okay. All right.
Good morning, Nan.
Good morning.
I would like to say something as we
All
got
right.
to building. The question is, what are we building for our future? Individuals and collectively as a family and collectively as a community and collectively as a nation. What are we building or what do we think we should be building toward? What is our direction? Because yesterday we were talking about of how we have to know ourselves. And as we know ourselves, what can we build from knowing ourselves and knowing what we can do and what we can be committed to? That's just a thought for us all to think about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was saying also, I guess, maybe a good takeaway for people to decide what they want, to work on, even as the, next year comes around, or, what goals that you want to work on, collectively as for you and your extended family. And then just, on the responsibility level, maybe something you want to change, maybe something you want to do more of. It could be something fun or something, whatever, in terms of responsibility aspect. So that might be something good as a takeaway to focus on. That'll be into the new year, into the new phase.
So by the way, the location was Northwood. That was the Northwood Plaza. It came to mind later. Go ahead.
Okay.
I agree
Cool.
with Nigeria. I do think that I think every day of Kwanzaa really does call for a pause, for you to kind of think about what you're going to do with your year in regards to these 7 principles, because every principle that we discuss, it's still something that we should be thinking about applying to our lives today. So I'm happy Nigeria brought that up, kind of like a little homework that no one will even know if you did it or didn't. But throughout the year, you really should be thinking about these different days and how can you make sure that these are, kind of front and centered in your mind of, things that you want to do. Because if you do that, all you can do is be more successful and, and have a clearer mind and be, more than what you were this past year. Although I know we're all pretty dope. So I appreciate that comment, Nigeria, and I want us to keep it all in mind for the rest of the time that we're doing this.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. No. Is there anything else anybody would like to add before we?
What we look for the future, for this year for me, I don't know, and hopefully for all of us. Mine is to get on more of a raw food diet. That's one I want to build and maintain. I did mention about diet, and also how can myself? I want to be able to help us understand who we are as a people, as people of color in the Bible, as Hebrews, as who we are, such that, okay, if we are these people, if we are the people of the book, if the Bible is an African book, if all of this stuff centers around us, how can we make this more known to the community? How can we make this more known to our friends, our relatives, such that we can have a more of a direct purpose and a more of a direct way and a way that we can reach together? Well, obviously, I'm using YouTube. When anybody types in Dr. William Emanuel, I use YouTube to put up videos on health, on people of color in the Bible, on last day events of where we are in time, and so forth. So we need to try to do something like this more often, that we can gather together. Hey, what did we learn, or what did we accomplish so far in our history?
All right. Thank you. Thank you. All righty. Also, if anybody else has anything else, I guess they would like to share, now is the time. And if not, then I guess we can wrap it up.
Okay, well, no one has anything else to say. We'll try to.
All right.
Oh, somebody wanted to say something? Go ahead.
I think everybody's good.
Okay. Well, what we like to do now is at least identify everyone who's on the call so that everybody can meet everybody who they might not know or have not seen in a long time. Well, we as Dr. William Emanuel, son of Lillian Aline, and dad to Nigeria, Ayanfe, Duro de Loire, and Mope, who's on the phone. And cousin to Lauren McCoy. And I'm in South Carolina.
All right. Awesome. Well, he already introduced me. Ayanfe, I'm his daughter, and Renee's daughter. Yes.
Rahima Mope, I am in Pennsylvania, and I am Dr. Emanuel's daughter and Renee's daughter, and Lillian, aka Nana's granddaughter, one of her favorites, I hope, if she can hear me.
Where are you?
Oh, PA, Pennsylvania.
Oh, and I'm in Maryland. Yeah.
So we've got like 2 minutes, well, a little more than 2 minutes left. I'm Renee Emanuel. I'm related to all of you in some shape, form, or fashion. It's really nice to see Lauren and Deneen. Deneen, I haven't seen you in like decades, right?
I know. It's great to see you as well.
Yeah, it's so good to see everybody. Glad folks could get on this call together today. I'm calling in from Hagerstown, Maryland.
Okay. I'm Deneen Samakia. I go way back with you guys' parents, Renee and Emmanuel. Met them several decades ago. I am in High Point, North Carolina. And my daughter's here. She won't put her on camera, but I'm gonna get a little sneaking. There she is. That's Aisa. Yeah. Sorry we got in late, but thanks for the invitation to celebrate Kwanzaa with you guys.
Absolutely. Glad you could join us.
Mm-hmm. Hi, I'm Lauren McCord Springer. I am the niece of Lillian, and I am the daughter of her brother, JC McCord. It's good seeing you guys. It's been many years since we've connected. So I was glad to get the invitation, and I thank you for the invitation. Oh, I'm in New York City.
Good.
Yay.
Good to see you.
Same here.
We got less than a minute.
Hello, everyone.
All right, guys.
I'm Jabari, and I am the son of Renee and Dr. William Emanuel. And I live in Orlando, Florida. So nice seeing you all, because clearly don't see that many people nowadays.
This is all right, guys. Well, love you guys. Happy Kwanzaa. Have a great remainder of your day, and I guess we'll see everybody tomorrow at noon.
Amen.
All right, happy Kwanzaa.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa. I don't think Mom can hear us.
Hi, Mama. She gone. Mom, can you hear me? Mama, can you hear?
Yeah, a little. I'm having a hard time hearing.
Yeah,
I don't know what's wrong with this.
yeah, it's good to see you.
I'm glad Laura